Hey guys, and welcome back to another Clinomania Devlog. Well, today's not really a devlog. It's more of just like a very excited to show this, or not even excited to show this. It's just really excited. You know what? Whatever. I'll get into it. So I'm creating a new object. I'm not actually creating the game. It's all just so that I can test out the speech cloud feature. So let me just delete these because I wanna show my process. What am I getting? Oh, okay. So, shoot. I deleted. Okay. I accidentally deleted the file. My bad. Let's just go into the recycling bin. Guess I deleted it there. I guess I just went straight into. I just straight up uh, put it away. Alright, so I'm just gonna. I just made this. Just download it. It's 32 by 32. Let's rename it to flower pot, right? Flower pot underscore pot. We'll put in the items. So actually, no, it should be a static. I put it as an item before this video, but technically, it should be a static, right? No, no, no. It's an item, something that you can pick up. Never mind. A static would be something that can't move, right? Static items. Flower pot, will I be able... No, let's put in static just to test it out. So let's add it. And externally add files. Always add. Alright, so we've got this. We've got our item in there. Um, and now, you know what? Now let's put in items because I haven't actually made the static class. Okay, wait. Let's just see what the items class is right now. Okay, so it is selected inventory false. Okay. We'll have to change the whole system for the inventory thing at some point. But yeah. Alright, so test item. So this is really cool because I've added the image for the flower pot. Now all I have to do is go into my items class, create a new Java class, and I can just call this flower pot without the underscore. And now all I have to do is do extends item because it's an item, and I implement all the methods, right? And then I create the constructor that matches the super, create two spaces because I'm just like that. And now all I have to do is create a private, or actually it should be public final buffered image, and I'll just call this texture, and then say texture equals to textures. Just a reminder, I'm only using the systems that I've made so far, and I'll do get item texture, and now all I have to do is pass in the unlocalized name, and then we're done. And now in the render method, all we have to do is do g.drawImage just to render it, and say um, texture dot, or sorry, we have to pass in, yeah, the texture, and then the x, the y, and technically it should be int x, int y, and then width, height, and the observer's null. There we go. And now all we have to do is go into the actual scene that's being rendered, and right here in the init, it'll change depending on, like, it'll change, like, everything, not everything is going to go in here, but now all we have to do is entity manager dot entities dot add new flower pot test, or not test item, flower pots, that's the unlocalized name, and then we just have to put in the regular name, which is flower pot with a space in capital letters, and then the x, which I'll put as 75, and a width of 128 and 128, and now when we run this, or after I put the semicolon, now when we run this, we already have an item in our screen. Now that's not even the cool part. Watch this. So, it doesn't have any collisions right now. There's no like collision box, but I'll be adding that later. But for now, watch this. When I move down into it, you can see it's behind it. But when I move far enough to be in front of it, then it'll render in front, and the text will always render because the text is it's just supposed to be like that. But yeah, I think that's really cool, and that is done with this render sorter down in the entity manager. Now, I actually stole this render sorter from a previous project I did, which I made via tutorial, but I'm still using my own system because I've altered it quite a bit, so I consider it my own system. But you can see I have this render sorter, and and this render sorter is really just it's a comparator of entities, and it's equal to a comparison of an int. I'm not exactly sure how this works. I'm gonna do some research on that because I like to understand my code when I write it. And then right here I just do entities.sort. But what I'm assuming it does is um so what is a? What's a? So I'm assuming that's just a variable. Oh, a must be the entity that is being compared. So basically what I'm assuming this means, and this is a lambda, I believe. Uh yeah, whatever. So how I'm pretty sure this is how it works. It gets the y, and then it gets the height of the object, and it compares it to see where the other object is in comparison, like its position in comparison to the other object's height and y position. Um, and then it's uh, and then it will render, or it'll sort it. So you can see it sorts it via the output of the comparator. I don't know if that made any sense, but you can see it's really easy that to make an item, which I just showed you. And that is I can show you everything that went into that. So first, I have the constructor, which is part of the item, which is a it's a child class of entity. So you can see here is the constructor for the item that passes in the unlocalized name, the name, the float x, y, and width and height. And if I go over to the test item, you can see it's a little more complicated, but you can see that this name isn't just passed in for the sake of being passed in. I actually use it here because that name is the one that's displayed right above the item, because it says test item. It doesn't say test underscore item with lowercase letters. No, because this is the actual display name. So the unlocalized name, is the name in the files, and the name, the regular name variable, is literally just a display name. And then we have the texture, and the tick and the render, which come from the entity class of abstract tick, abstract render. And then we have our feld scene, which is an extension, or which is a child class of scene. But you can see it says entity. So I'm adding an entity and we're just passing in all of the things from that constructor. And in the scene, you can see um, the mirror from the Feld world, which is has its own constructor, non-localized name and display name, etc. And then if we go down to scene manager, it's fairly simple, because you're only ever gonna render one scene at a time. Now, I know it's not very efficient to have like an array of scenes when you're only ever gonna be using when you're only ever gonna have one scene, but whatever. Um, and then we have our speech cloud, which I still haven't finished. But more importantly, the font loader and the image loader. Now, you saw to render something, all we had to do is create, or all I had to do is create a buffered image, and then um, set it to yeah, all I had to do was create an image and then say that image is equal to textures.getTexture, and then all I had to do was pass in the unlocalized name. Well, that's all because I set it up previously. If I go over to that textures class, you can see it automatically gets the path, and all it has to do is plug in the unlocalized name, which you've already got. So we're just passing it in through the parameters, and all it has to do is plug in the unlocalized name, and it already gets the textures. But how's it getting the textures? Well, we have this image loader class, which I already pre-made image loader, and that already on its own gets the image. That way, all I have to do when rendering an image, I don't have to think about anything, deal with any of the rendering stuff. All I have to do is just say textures.getItemTexture, and essentially I'm hiding all the very complicated stuff, and whenever I need to use it, it's literally just a tool. Um, yeah. And then there's nothing in the tick method because it's not growing or anything, but I'm going to have the buffered image system, or the texture system, is going to change a little bit because some things might have more than one texture. For example, they have an animation, so I'm planning on changing that. So what it's going to be is an array of buffered images, I would assume, but it's going to be different for each item. So yeah, that's just me adding in another item. Let's see, where are we at? I like to keep these videos short just because it uses up memory in my file. We've gone through 11 minutes, so let's just keep going. So we have our speech class, our speech cloud class, and our speech cloud manager. So right now, in our test item, we do spacebar. So we're actually gonna want to do the call a use method. That'll make it a lot more. It'll just make it easier for me to interact with the items. So I'm not exactly sure. I have a vague idea of how I would do this, but I did this in another project, so might as well just steal the code from there, then write it again and try to create a new system. So you can see this entity class in my other project is a lot more complicated because it has the entity collision and all that, and a lot of the extra methods which I haven't actually made. So I should probably add that in now, actually. So if I not the collision stuff, but the other stuff. So we have the tick and the render, so we can add in the public abstract die method. So when the void die. So when the object actually gets destroyed, that method will be called, and of course the public abstract void use, which is the one we want to actually use in this video. And then we can do a public void hurt, and the reason why it's not abstract is because not all objects will have a life, will have, like, HP. And then we'll just go up here. We'll say, let's see, I don't think we really need a default health, but we can. We'll do public static final int default health equals to 10. And we can say down here protected int health, and the reason why I'm just separating is because it's easier to read. Protected boolean active equals to true. And actually we've already got that, so we can do that. And in the hurt method, all we have to do is health minus equals to AMT. So this is subtracting the amount of damage being passed in. AMT stands for amount. We're subtracting the amount of damage that we're doing from the health, and then we're saying, but each time we do that, we're also checking if the health is less than or equal to 0, in which case the object will, of course, die by setting active equals to false, and then we just call that die method. Fairly simple. And yeah, we can. You can tell how much happier I am without school. It's not even, no, I actually miss school. You can tell how much happier I am without homework. I don't know, I've always had a grudge against homework. I feel like it doesn't respect that we have a life, and a lot of the work we get from certain classes is just busy work or could be reduced. And people like my English teacher, she is really good at handling homework. She 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 acknowledges the importance of homework, but she also acknowledges that we have a life outside of school. So she assigns like 30 to 45 minutes, but we actually get a lot done because we're just reading a book. We're reading a book. It's an individual thing to do. So, and not something that we should be doing or could be doing in class. Because if we were doing it in class, then that would just be a waste of time. Everybody's just reading. So we actually read at home, but we don't. But we're in 10th grade. We can read quite quickly, so we actually get a lot done. But it's also not an assignment that we will need help with. Like it's not an assignment where we might ask a teacher, "Help, teacher, can you help me, please?" But then on occasional days, she'll acknowledge that, oh, it's a special day, or you know, it's not a day where like I really need to assign something. Maybe we finished a book, so I'm not gonna assign anything. Other teachers like Miss Mar fucking Tina's, she's like, oh well, we don't really need to assign work, but I'm just gonna assign you some busy work on VHL since it's not that much trouble for me, but it hurts you in the long term, so I'll do that. Yeah, okay. And actually, funny story. It's not really a funny story. It's just a story. Um, uh, my so I have a Spanish tutor and I actually like him and I like my Spanish tutoring classes a lot better than my regular Spanish class, and I actually don't like Spanish class that like at all, but he's actually a really good Spanish teacher, Luis. And I had him in third grade at my old school, and he actually makes classes fun, or at least he tries to, and a lot of the times it is fun, sometimes it's not. School, in my opinion, is it can be fun, if you have if you have the right teachers, and I honestly am grateful. I think I do have extremely good teachers. There's just like one teacher, Miss Martinez, that's horrible. But I don't have to have Miss Martinez next year. But essentially, he said, "Wow," and I was doing a lot better because we do assignments together. He helps me out. He actually encourages me, unlike Miss Martinez, even when I get things wrong. With Miss Martinez, if you do too poorly, she yells at you because you're doing too poorly. If you do too well, she thinks you're using Google Translate. But anyways, Luis, he's like, "Wow, you're doing a lot better," because I'm reading text and I'm summarizing it really well, and I'm speaking Spanish a lot better. He's like, "You're doing really well today." I'm like, "Yeah, well, school's over. Last class I had, we still had school, and I was exhausted." So he's like, "Yeah, school can drain you." I'm like, "It wasn't even school. I love school. I just hate homework. Homework is like, I hate it with every fiber of my being. I hate it with a passion, honestly." Um, not all homework, but most homework. Um, but anyways, going back to the video, I can see I've wasted around 5 minutes ranting about homework. Um, let's get back to this. So we've made this use method, and you can see what it's called by the player. So yeah, okay. So what is E? E for entities. Okay, so what it does is, so let's go into the test item. And actually, I should have just created the player, to be honest. I might just do that now. Hmm. I could just do that now, to be honest. Okay, so let's create a new palette. We'll call this player. I know I'm doing too much at once. I'm trying to get this system in, and I'm like, oh, let's do the player. No, I actually don't really want to do the player, but I feel like it would make my life so much easier. So, um, let's see. Oh shoot, my friend's coming over in an hour. So I don't have that much time. So actually, player's obviously going to be a little taller. Say the height is 64. I was about to adjust his weight by adjusting the width. And you know what? You know what? No, let's not do this now. It's a waste of time, and I haven't eaten anything, so I'm pretty hungry. What is the current error? Oh, everything, of course, needs that use and die method. Let's go to flower pot, which also needs that. So in this use method, we'll actually, instead of doing it here, instead of creating the speech cloud, there, we'll make it there. Alright. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish this on time. I kinda wanna finish and then actually eat something before my friend comes over. We're going to the Brooklyn Strategist. Very sad I'm moving to the Upper East Side, but yeah. Flower pot, and we'll, in the use method, we will just say speech cloud manager dot create. Okay. Speech cloud manager dot create speech cloud. We'll create a new speech cloud. We'll say the x is 0, 0, 0, 0. We'll do that for now. So let's go to the test item. 0, 0, 520, 512 by 128. So we'll say 512 by 128, and then okay, yeah, let's just leave it there. And here we'll say oh, okay, that's a lot more work than I thought, so I'm gonna do this some other day, but essentially when we do the space bar, we're gonna want to do a private void check use. Yeah. So we can do rectangle CB equals, CB is collision bounds, dot get co. What is this referring to? Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to do this another day. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I gotta go eat lunch and also prepare to meet my friend, probably clean my room, because it's not actually that bad today, but whatever. So before I go, let's just commit these changes. We can say that, what did I work on? Oh, created new flower pot item, test item, or used for testing purposes. And then we can say, or I can say, added abstract die and use methods. I think those are the main ones, so I'm just gonna commit and push. Push that. And actually, if we go over to my browser and go to Clinomania, the repository, that is definitely not the right one. Repositories. Clinomania, this one. Resources, assets. Nope. It should be this one, the source. You can see hopefully, how it changes. So if we go into entities, items, yep, we have our flower pot, and everything's been updated. So see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna go have lunch. Now I've said that like 500 times now, but yep, goodbye. Fuck, I just pressed something. What? Start virtual.